Okay, so what you have right here is a you just have to go to code.visualstudio.com, especially for those na wala naka-install. Yeah, it's medyo bugat siya. And right here, you can choose any other option. So if you're using Mac OS, you can actually choose Mac OS. So if you're using Windows OS, you can use this one. Okay, and also you can use for Linux-based OS, you can also choose this one. And then once you are done, it will actually ask you to install it. So basta anhin mo dire, and then I know you already know. I mean, I am assuming you already know how to install this one. So just wait. Just going to copy paste this. Okay, sige. So after you installed it, this is now the looks of this one now. So by the way, you download the community, not the professional or enterprise edition. Because when you download the professional or enterprise edition, it is not for free. Okay? It is basically not, I mean, it's, you need to purchase, though naatay mga crack ana, you can actually, yeah, you can actually look for crack sa over the internet. There's actually a lot, but for now, let's stick to community. Anyway, community is okay for the for practice purposes. Okay? So, ayan. So makita ninyo no ang Visual Studio, ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Sige. All right. So sa mga na ay Visual Studio na, please also try to follow. Okay, try to follow what I'm going and what I'm going to do para at least if you have like problems, you have questions, ma-raise ninyo, and then together with your classmates na walay ang sana, makarelate ko sila if in case maka-encounters lagi nato ng mga problems. Okay, so this time, to start with Visual Studio, all you need to do is you'll need to create a project. Okay, so basically, kani atong pilion, create new project. Right. So let's just wait for it na mag-appear ang new project window. So in the new project window, it's going to let you choose what a certain language you are going to use. So we can use actually C Sharp, we can use VB.NET. We have here a lot of programming languages not available. Okay. So this time, let's choose okay,
Excuse
this
me,
one.
sir.
Yes, okay.
Nag-present ka, sir?
Oh yeah, yes.
Wala. May makita. Ay, wala ko yung
Wala may
makita, sir.
makita, sir.
Mau ba? Wait.
Opo. Wala
Kana,
na,
wala.
sir.
Ana na.
Wala.
Okay, sige. Anong na-cancel man to kong presentation? Yeah, so after that one, you will choose again. So this is, okay, balik ta. And then choose create new project. And then after choosing a project, you can choose a language. So you can choose any other language, no? So which you are comfortable writing. So anyway, they are of the same framework, only that they have the same syntax, different syntax rather. So in my case, I'm gonna choose visual, let's say visual basic for this matter now. So let me choose a visual basic. Yeah, this one. Okay, so let's choose this one, or you can actually type under this search bar, you can actually type here. So after that, you click on next. Okay, and then here, okay, of course, now you know what this particular label is going to ask us is you are actually required to create your project name. So let's say for an instance, this is LCC um, first VB program, right? So right here, you can choose whatever framework you want to choose, but it would be better if you're going to choose the current or the latest one para dili ta magka-problem. Okay? So after that one, by the way, this one is the location where you can actually see all your resources, everything like everything you add or other like forms or even mga resources or image assets will be stored right here. And then yeah, so it's the project name is the same with your solution name. So you can click on this one if you want to place the solution in the same directory. So after that, you'll need to click on create button. Okay, so let's just wait for the configuration of the our environment so that we can start writing our programs now. Mawala ang okay, so nagawala dahil siya every time mag-ano ang window. So am I back? Is my presentation visible? I mean,
Yes, sir.
okay, good. Okay, so again, no matter what language you are going to use, you will have the same environment. So it depends to you know if you're gonna be choosing a C sharp or yeah, if Visual Basic, you will have something like the same environment. Kaya it's actually called as a framework because you can actually develop different uh, programs rather with just say one single tone of environment, which you can actually the only thing that differs is that uh, you the syntax, no, as I've said. So this time, this is the environment where you will have to get too familiar with in terms of you're going to develop a visual VB.NET or Visual Studio.NET. So by the way, Visual Studio is the framework, no, the IDE, the framework or the IDE. While when we talk about VB, that's the language. When we talk about C sharp, that's the language. So definitely, Visual Studio is just an IDE of either when you want to develop the VB.NET or Visual C sharp. So syempre mas ano lang yun kung Visual Basic because this IDE is intended for Visual Basic. Okay. So this time, let's get familiar with the what the windows that are here or present in this environment or in this IDE. So right here, this is where you get to see your controls, now your UI components. So you can actually pin this one, okay? So pin or unpin this one by clicking this pin when you want to auto hide para there's enough space for you to work on your working area. Okay, so right here it is going to be categorized into Windows form, common controls, container, menus, and toolbars. And we cannot actually, honestly, we cannot use all of them. We can only use some of them now. Okay, so this time this is where the controls are going to be seen. You can actually navigate this one or transfer this one to other side of this IDE. But it would be better if they are not. Let's put it this way na di na siya by default. Okay. Then after that, you will see here your this is your form or GUI. So this is where you draw your user interface. Okay, so this is where again you draw your user interface, and right here at the beside it is your solution explorer. So you will see here your program. Every time you will create you add an object, you add a form, you add a module, you add a class, it is going to be placed in here. So this is where you get to see all your resources. So if you wanna, if you're going to collapse it, you can see actually all other what you call this one, mga references and dependencies, which your program is going to require. So that is why anything that is going to change right here, or if let's say for an instance, na akay maguba dira or na akay ma-change, so it may affect the your program. So basically, na ay tendency na maguba yung program, or if not, dili siya mag-work properly. Or during compilation, mag-error siya. All right? So next is, at the bottom of that is the property window. So in the property window, this is where you set and change properties of each of your control or object. Example, you want to make your button a little bigger. Okay, you can go here directly. If you want to make your button like if you want to change its color, if you want to anything, no, anything that you can describe, anything that you can assign properties to that particular object can be done right here. So pwede po nato siya buhaton using a code view instead of in the property view. Okay, so basically when we talk about the VB.NET, okay, Visual Studio.NET, there are three ways on how to. So I'm gonna type this in our message in call messages. Three ways to develop your GUI. Three ways to develop GUI. So number one is draw the UI or GUI. Second, assign properties to control. And the third one is attach codes to control. So that's it, no? So attach or dili past tense dahil na. So attach anyway, attach or basta di na past tense. So draw the UI, assign properties to control, and attach codes to control. So every time you do that, every time you create a program in here, no, so you'll have to follow this one. First is, okay, una, you draw the UI. So let's say for an instance, this is your form, and you want to, let's say, add a button right here. So, okay, so that's how you draw the user interface. You just have to drag and drop, or you can actually directly click a certain control here, and it will automatically appear here. So now, if you want this to look bigger, you just have to expand using this what they call this one, this edge, no? Ani siya ng mga edge. And then if you want this button, so this is the second step, which is, no, the first is you draw the UI. Second is you assign codes to assign properties to control. It's like if you want to create if you want to let's say buy something, no, let's say you are going to buy a cell phone. So probably ang cellphone na siya ay basic na mga basic niya na mga features, okay? And we have an option to actually we have an option to actually put a parang casing to it, no? Butangan na to siya og mga features or other features by installing a software to it. So that's how this properties is actually going to, apply to a certain component here or control. So, but the most important thing that you'll need to actually do every time you create a control, or every time you draw a control, or after drawing a control, the most important thing you'll need to do is, okay, you look for the name property. Okay, so name, that's here, no? So by the way, pwede nimo ni siya i-categorize or i-group into alphabetical. Okay, pwede nimo siya i-categorize or i-group nimo by category, i-group nimo by alphabetical, and by properties. So this time it is by default group as category, or nakakategorize siya by design, by data bindings, focus, layout, and so on and so forth. So, okay. So in a normal programming, like let's say Java, C++, it's normal for you to create a variable before you can actually store data to it. Now, before you can actually ask the user to enter a certain value, so you'll have to define a variable. Right here, since this one is an event-driven programming language, you don't need to do that, okay? Specifically because once you create a control, okay, once you draw a control here in the workspace, automatically it will create it will actually a variable. No? Parang it's an object already. So once we create, all right, so once we create or once we draw this UI, so you look for the name. This is similar to when we name a particular variable to our program. So whenever you name this into like something like button, of course, this is the variable name. So specifically object name niya. Okay. So by the way, so I'm gonna type, there are certain naming conventions that we need to follow. So naming conventions, okay, so that we are able to speak the same language. So naming conventions, pag button siya, you start with CMD or either BTN. Such that, example, BTN click. Okay? And because you want this, the caption of this button is when you click the button, yeah, sorry sir, I'm late. Karon lang naabot gikan sa gitrabaho. Okay lang, okay lang. So button, it's either CMD or BTN, and then the name of the button, which is, let's say, the name of the button is click. So we name our button, that button, to be BTN click. So if you want to name your button like save, you would do BTN save. Okay, that's for button. For text box, would be better if you use the TXT convention such that, so yung prefix dapat is TXT. So such that, let's say, TXT name, TXT age, okay? And then for label, so for label, not necessarily na butangan mo siya og names, but I would recommend you to use label as a prefix, okay? For combo box, okay? So dapat CBO, okay? And hasta you have you will have to set an initial the way na you want them to access in at most convenient way. Kasi the moment we create, the moment we keep on adding like buttons, it will actually, by default, no, it will actually give you button 1. Then the next time around, you will add another button. It will just increment by 1. So button 2, button 3. So that is why it's very important to set the properties, because it's like when you get to name your pets, no, assuming let's say for an instance, you have new pet, and then every time you have your pet, di ba, pangalan na to siya in the most meaningful way, na ipangalan na to siya sa isa ka pet. So we don't just name the pet na Toy Toy, no, or Toy Toy 1, Toy Toy 2, or saba Iro 1, Iro 2. We don't do that. So it's very important for you to really have names for the pets. In a similar manner, it's also of the same importance na ato ang name or ato ang mga components should have meaningful names. Okay? So, and then not only meaningful names, but you will use prefix. Okay? Kasi for an instance, you want to call all the buttons. To call the buttons conveniently is when you name all your buttons with the prefix BTN or CMD, it would be easier for you to look. Okay, it would be easier for you to get into that particular object or component. So let's say, for an instance, we name this into BTN click, right? So that's only the name. It's not going to change the caption of this particular button. So now it is changed to BTN click. Next is we are going to look for or look into something like text. Where is it? So text is, ayan. So the text naman is used for changing the label or the caption of the button or the object. So example, so you want this na click. So yan. So it is now changed to click. Then after that, you go to, if you want to change the like what they call this one, the font, no, the font face, the font size, you can go here in the properties saying or like labeling as font, and then you can actually type directly here, or you can actually click on this kebab button or ellipse button. Yeah, kebab na lang. So kebab button. So once you have it there, I mean you click it, it will it's the window dialog box is going to appear like this, like what you are actually seeing right now. And then you can choose the font style, you can use the font name or font face, you can make an effects to it. Okay, but aside from that, you can have one thing that is going to, what we are going to do is for now is let's change the size of the font. Okay, so let's say we are going to choose 16. So this time it is now bigger. Okay, but if you're like parang dili na siya necessary na dili ipadakon siya, it's okay. So you don't have to change that. And then if you want to change the color, it's everything can be set right here. Okay, so in fact you can collapse it and it has other properties to it. Okay, and then for what else do we have here? So wala na change itong button, so it should be BTN click. I'm sorry for that. Okay, all right. What happened? BTN click. Okay, pili daw. Okay, check na to, kung na-change na ba. Not, it's not changed yet. So wait for a while. So let's just save this first. Okay, and then, so let's save everything. Okay, so we have here, okay, hindi daw pwede, BTN, click to subscribe. So delete siya, so BTN, ano na lang, press na lang. Okay, yan siya. What happened? When I type press, it's going to change BTN click. Pero pag, I see, okay. I'm sorry for that. The careful data in, sorry sorry kayo sa, sorry kay class. Careful ta in choosing a certain object. The one that we had changed earlier is actually the button, the form. So we'll need to change this form because it's now BTN click. So let's change this into, by the way, for form, it's going to start with the prefix FRM. Form, okay, para we speak the same language. So why I did this, because I want us guys to speak the same language. Para we have this what we call meta language. So para every time we create a program, it would be easier for us to, we are able to understand each other, not easily. Okay, so let's say form. This is form sample na lang. Okay. And then you can actually change the name of the form. Yan, right here. Pwede naman na i-change into, instead of form 1, okay, instead of form 1, you can actually change it into other else. Okay? So, kasi lain siya kung form 1. Imong always ibutang. Alright? Then, in the text, pwede po nato na siya i-change into, instead of form 1, let's say, the sample VB program. Now you can change this BTN now instead of BTN press rather. Sorry. So we have BTN click. Okay. So right here, this is what we have been doing so far is or are number one through two steps in developing UI. Una, we draw the UI. Second is we set the properties. And then the next thing we will do is attach code to controls. So every time we want that the event now for this button for this particular control, we have to go to the code window. So the code window is going to appear every time you click a certain what they call this one, a certain component or a certain control here. So just click this one and you will see here, okay, you will see here your codes. Okay, so it's similar to, yeah, no, it's similar to like Java because it's like class based or any even in C++. But this time, one thing that is going to like change in this particular syntax is it doesn't have any uh, end statement or terminating statement. So in Visual Basic, you don't have that or that kind of delimiter na it would indicate it is the terminator or the ending of the statement. So right here, you will see end. Okay, end sub means it's the end of the method or the event. So this is actually a method of the button click. So whatever procedure we are going to put in here is going to be executed once we click because our event is actually click. Okay. So this is the event. Okay, so you have here different events, but common event or most used na event for button is actually click. And this is the name of our control. So our control is PTN click. So this is where you can actually navigate easily para you don't have to go to design window. So we have the design window here. You have the what they call this one, the code window. So let's say for an instance, we just want to display something like, so sa uban nga nanay background, of course, will really, because others doesn't have, so we'll need to start with the basic or from scratch. So let's say this is my first program. Right, so right after we just write the statement saying that message box that show this is my first program, you can now press F5 or you can actually click on this button that says start. So when you click start button, okay, when you press the start button, let's just wait for our application to run it, to execute successfully, to execute our program successfully rather. So I check na to be kung makita ba sa na. Is it visible? Makita niyo ang running program?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Visible, sir.
Okay. So right here you have this is the running program in which you can actually expand it. Okay, you can actually maximize it, you can minimize it, but pwede na to na siya i-set na dili siya maximizable, dili po siya, cannot be resized. So, but that's other way sa kanana. So this time, when you click this particular button, this will give you a message back saying this is my first program. Okay, so that's it. Now that's how you create programs in Visual Studio.net. Okay, so which is again i-review na to, especially for the others who just came in. The steps in developing UI in VB.net is first you draw the UI by dragging it here. Then after that, assign properties to control, and then after that, you attach code to control. Okay. Now, let's say we are going to create another, let's say another, sige, kanina lang existing na form. So we are going to okay, so ibutan na natin siya sa kilid. So we are going to, let's say, add, no, to or perform arithmetic operations in our here in our program. So this time we're gonna be adding label. So label, and then copy paste na lang nato na later on. And then you have here the text box. Okay, so let's choose the both ato asyang padakon ang, so that's where that's the first one, is first step in developing UI. Again, draw the UI rather, and then after that set properties to it. So let's say let's make it like bigger. Okay, and then okay, so let's start with label. So the name or the prefix for label is, okay, as I've said, ang label pwede ra na ninyo dili butangan og prefix na LBL, but I would recommend you doing that, no? So the question there is, when do you actually name your label into a specific name? So if ever you want, if ever that label is going to have a special role in our program. So later on, I'm gonna showing you the a label which we are going to display the output of the label, the output of our program in the label. So this time we'll have to change the label. But this time ato na lang siyang i-name na lang nato siya para again, para you follow the convention. Okay, especially pag you will be working as a team. So dapat you speak the same language. Pareha mo og common mo og mga naming conventions, and it's you know what, it's very important to really understand each other's codes, no? So that's one way. So that's one way we are able to easily communicate with other members in a team. Okay, kasi kung lahi tag style sa coding, there might be a tendency or possibility that we things are going to get messy and a little bit confusing. Okay, so let's say we have here label first num. So first na lang. Okay, and then this time we'll have here, we'll change the text. We'll change the text. Asa naman tong text? Yeah. So let's say first a number. Okay, and then right here, form, no? So right here we have another text field. So our text field is, it's name nato siya with, so butang nato siya initial value, let's say 0. And then we have here txt. Pwede nato ibutang txt first na lang. Okay, so txt first, and then we'll just copy paste this one. Okay, so let's change the, simply let us change the property of the first num, because it's going to, let's say, so instead of first, this should be second. And then instead of this one is, yeah, the name of this is actually label 1, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so if I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, so let's name this into label second. Okay, and then let's move this one a little bit. Okay, and then yeah, so after that we are going to change this one into the name should be txt second, or you can have num2. Okay, and then after that you can go to text. Yeah, it's the same. So we are going to input like 0 for this one. Okay, I mean initial value for, once it starts running, the initial value is going to be 0. Okay, so we have here a click already. So let's just copy paste this one. Okay, so once you copy paste this one, at wala na siyang igamay-gamay kay murag pangit ra pud kaayo nila ko. Itaguan na lang nato ng click. Okay, and then let's make this copy paste na to siya. Okay, so let's say this one is, so this button should be, let's say btn add, which is the first operation of arithmetic operator, and then the text is add. Okay, and then after that one, let's say let's save this as close na lang ni siya. Okay, close. Okay, so kulang siya gamay o kadako or kataas, kalapad. Then okay. All right, so let's name this to btn close. So again, be careful in setting kasi button 2 na siya, and then you don't assume na it's already btn close unless kung sa Android kay automatic kung sa pangalan ana niya, sige pangalan nimo siya, ang iyang caption na is close, automatic siya mag-name og btn close. So naka AI na siya. But in our case, so in here, no, dili siya automatic. Okay, so let's say we have this, we have our simple calculator now. Okay, and then we now go to code window. Okay, so let's say we have here. So that's it, no? Event driven. So the event is just going to wait until the procedure is going to wait until the event is triggered. So there is event processor that is going to process or to read each procedure or procedures or steps of procedures right here in this particular event or button, in this particular control that is going to be executed by our event processor. So once it is going to be triggered, like once it is invoked, so i-execute na niya dayon. Okay, so this time what we are going to do is whenever we click the add button, so this is, by the way, local variable muna tayo, local variable declaration. So let's say for an instance, we want to declare or we want to get the value of num1. I mean, dim means dimension, and then you're declaring the num1 as the value coming from the, let's say, txt first. Okay, so txt first dot text. Okay, and then sige, later on I'm just gonna continue writing this one. Continue with my codes, and then I'm gonna show you a cases wherein what happened. Okay, so let's say this is like num2. This is txt second. So in naming in creating variables, you can actually choose dim, let's say val as integer. Okay, so pwede nimo siya ibutangan og like 0. Okay, so example, if we want to have like sum as integer is equal to 0. Okay, and then what we have right here is that this txt first is actually this one, and then second is txt second is actually this one. So whatever the value is going to be entered by the user in this particular control is going to be assigned to our num1, and similarly that is also going to happen in txt second. Okay, now right here we can now start something like so let's say for an instance kanina nakita man yung message box. So let's say we don't sige, display punta sa message box. And then let's say the sum is, so by the way, in the concatenation operator nanaghan lagi ta murag gamay, daghan ta. For 12 lagi ta kabuok. Pila data kabuok dire. Check mo ba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Atami sir or kuan 3C.
Okay. So, isa na lang kulang. Okay, sige. Going back, by the way, this one is comment. So, this is a comment. So, as we all know, no, sa inyong basic programming, especially like Java, you use this as a comment, or you use this one as a comment. Now, in Python, you use this one. In other language, you use this one. So, dire is inani siya. Okay? Dati is we use rem as a comment. Ayan. Rem, karon okay pa siya, allowed pa siya. So, anything that starts rem or that's going to start with single quotation is going to be a comment. This is a, okay, so we have two operators again. Sorry, two concatenation operator. We have this one and this one. So, of course, mas okay we don't use this plus as the concatenation operator. As we all know in Java, this have been the what they call this one. This has been the concatenation operator that we use every time we concatenate strings, every time we concatenate string plus integer. So that's the case. But in Visual Basic, it would be better if you use this one rather than plus sign. Anyway, you can still use this one, but I would recommend you doing or using ampersands. So in this case, let's say the sum is sum. So that's it. And then we don't perform anything like sum is equal to num1 yet, or num1 plus num2 yet. So basically, that's what we do here. Okay. Now after that one, okay, so you can now then run your program. So let's say we're going to run our program, and then so let's just wait. Ayan. So ako siya sa E and M. So again, nara na. Okay. So you have here two first number and second number. So let's say input na dre og 6. And then we are going to input here 4. And then after that, you click on add. So the sum is 64. So similar to Java, when you add two numbers, and then when you concatenate it directly, I mean, even when you subtract here, no, and you do this one, it's going to also it's going to be something like ano siya is into 64, i-concatenate niya. So what we should do is that we change this into, I mean, we typecast this into certain type. Di ba sa Java kay J-option pane that show input dialog, and then you're going to parse it, no, into integer ba or double. Let's say integer that parse int. Dire is you have the cint, meaning convert. Okay. So this one is actually convert to int, or you can have use the val instead. Okay. Sorry. The val is actually, if you try to look at it, val returns a number contained in a string as a number value of appropriate type. Okay, so meaning appropriate, either kung integer po diyang i-return. Kung integer or with decimal point imong i-ano, it's going to also return the appropriate value. But this time, specifically for integer siya. So let's try muna siin. Okay, and then when we get to run again our program, so let's say we have here 5 and then 7. So right here you have the sum is 12. Okay, so that's it. And then let's say if let's have a decimal with decimal point tayo. So let's say 4.3 and then 5. So the sum is 9. So as you can see, okay, as you can see, you have here, instead of with decimal point siya, it's going to only display the sum is 9 rather than 5.3. Okay, so let's try changing it to like val. Let's just copy paste this one. Okay, so you have 4.3 and then 5. So, oh, what happened? Val is not going to, okay, kasi integer ato ang sum, no? So, let's make this as variant. Okay, variant na lang para dito siya mag. May variant na to siya. Let's say as variant. Let's try. Kasi that's might be the problem. But if it will not still not work, so yun. Still it's not changing the value. Just wait for a while. Is it something like global? It's supposed to work. So might as well, by the way, might as well, the problem there is actually, I would try to, ano nga, baka it's deprecated already. So that's why medyo gray siya, dili siya, kung napansin niyo basta keyword siya in Visual Basic, it's going to be labeled as naka-blue. Okay? So, sorry. Yeah. So, we have here val. Yeah, it's actually as double. Wait, it's actually as wait. So the based on its what they call this one mm, docs, that by the way, based on its docs or documents or documentation, val is actually going to return the conversion as double. Okay, so returns a number contain a string as a numeric value of appropriate type, either integer or double. But whenever we actually run or tried running it earlier, it does not even work. So let's skip that one. Anyway, you have the new ones actually. So kasi karaan naman gud ni siya before sa 6.0 pa ni katong dili pa .net. So katong mga bago, you can use C-int, C-double, C-short, okay, C-float, or whatever imong gamit. Let's say, i-try na to ng C-double. So, okay, so we have 5.4 and then 3. So, it's still not going to, what happened? What happened with, it's already double, so, wait for a while, 4.3, 5, yun. So, because of the variant type. So, by the way, let me explain this one to you. When we talk about variant type, okay, variant type, like in Python, that a certain type or a certain variable doesn't have any explicit data type. That's variant type, meaning it can be any type. Okay, so meaning pwede siya string, pwede siya double, pwede siya character, pwede siya short, pwede byte. But it seems like it's also not working if earlier nakita man ninyo that it does not process the value even we already converted the text into double. And right here, this one is also telling our compiler that this one is declared as variant type, meaning you don't specifically declare as this one as variable or as a what they call this one as a double type. So meaning it can actually process anything, or instead of, I mean, based on unsa ang appropriate value na iyahang gi-store ana is going to be, this one is going to be dynamically accepted. Okay, so if it's double, it's going to process it as double. If it is cint, it's going to process it as cint. So that's why this one, I don't know what happens why it doesn't work, even though we declare this as variant type, while this one is actually a variant type. So basta, if you don't declare a certain variable to any type, it's actually variant type. Okay, so variant type means you can assign to that variable any value or any type of value. Okay, so now what if sir, pwede ba namo ni siya i-declare globally? Yes, pwede nimo siya i-declare ang variable here, dim val num1 num2, okay, like as double. Pwede niyo siya i-declare there. We can also declare dim result. So if you wish na naakay, let's say result is equal to 0, instead of using sum, you are going to use result, no? Probably if you don't want to be specific with a certain operator, you can actually use result instead of sum. Somebody is chatting. Wala di ay. Yeah, so before we continue, is there any question? No, my question? My question, guys? Hello?
Wala, sir.
Okay, wala. So, simple na kay sir. Nganong question mo? Simple ra man na sir. Easier man na sa mua. Basic. Okay, sige. All right. Okay, so what if we want to display? So this is what I told you earlier na what if i-display na to siya and let's say in a text or in a label. Okay? So let's say this one is butan na to, the result is okay. Instead of i-display na to siya sa message box, dira na to siya display. And then the name of this one should be, i-change na to into, instead of label 1, LBL result. Okay, so now let's go back to our code. So, na naman kay num1 dito, you can now erase this one and i-declare na nato siya globally. Okay, so for sum, I guess delete ang result ito. Okay, let's say for result, we do the same. It's equal to num1 plus num2. Yeah, by the way, if you're gonna be asking me, sir, pwede ba na ang akong buhaton is result or in ani sir ba na LBL result that text is equal to kani sir, i-copy na ako ni siya and then i-paste na ako dire, tapos plus i-paste na ako dire, tapos txt second. Oo, pwede nimo na siya buhaton. Okay, so of course this one is considered as variables already, as an object, and you converted this into all you just need to do is convert them into a certain value. Okay, but again, we just follow the standard or the structure. But again, if rapid imong development, if you want na faster, I mean gusto ka na mas madali ka, you can actually do that. Okay, so right here, let's follow let's have the result is equal to, so the sum The sum is so. Yeah. So let's comment this one out. Okay, so you have here 4 and then 6. So the sum is 10. Okay, so that's it, no? 7, the sum is 13. Now, what about for closer? Unsa may ano-ana? Okay. End blank. Okay, so end means if you click on the close button, it's going to end. Okay, so all right. So what are other operators in what they call this one in Visual Basic? So you have integer division. So we have also remainder or mod. Okay, so see, let's try to perform na lang. So when we click a close or kaning click na lang, sige, kaning click. Or let's say let's add na lang another button. So let's say so this is going to be let's say we have divide and then let's name this as what's the name? Yeah, BTN division. So we go there and then we do the same and then copy paste na nato and then you have here okay, so there is this what we call integer division. Okay. So another division is actually this one. So tanaw na to ang difference nilang duha. Okay. So kasi kung sa ano ni siya sa Python anak no. Duha ka ano para maging integer division siya. So let's use this one muna. So in the division tayo na button. So this time is going to be the quotient. Quotient is so let's say 4 and then 6. Let's say 6.5 tayo to. So ayan, no? So you have here the quotient is blah, blah, blah. So expected, that's the value. Okay. So let's try this other one. If unsay result niya, if still is going to work right here. So let's see, 4 and then 6. So, okay. So right here is, as you can see, it's not going to display with decimal point values. So this one is the integer division. So meaning to say when we talk about integer division, the value is going to be divided. However, it omits the decimal point. Okay? This one is the division, not the integer division. So this one is with decimal point. No matter how long it is, it's going to be with the output should always be going to decimal point. Okay? So that's it, no, for integer division and division. Another division is a mod, no, yeah, so another division is actually the mod, or which is actually it returns the remainder. So let's try to use something. Click na lang kani. Okay, so i-divide na to ang, let's take this one right here. And this one here. So let's have this one as Cin. Again, let's say the result is equal to num1. Okay, so let's say mod 2. Okay, and then let's have dim result 1. Then let's have here dim result 2. Num2 mod 2. So this one is also a division. However, ang pauna ni is remainder. Same sa modulus division. So this is what we call modulus division. Same sa other languages or other PL. So now that's it. When we run our program, if i-display nato siya sa, let's say here, we have the LBL result to text. The result is result 1. Okay, let's try if this would still work. Okay, then and result so let's have here 4 and then we have 5. So sorry, result malita, no? Anyway, so that is the result is 0. So because when we divide 4 by 2, the remainder is 0. And then when we divide 5 by 1, by 2, the result is actually 1. So what happened to that, sir? Nga nun, inato man to siya. So because of VB new line, you're able to move the to the next line. So mura siya sa C++ ba or sa Java \n. Okay, so let's say putang na to and the other result na lang. The result 2, the result 1. Okay, and then sobra taog. Yeah, so balik ta. Okay, so you have 5 and you have 7 and then click. So the result 1 is 1, the result 2 is 1 because they are all odd numbers. So let's try 6 here. It's going to be 0. Okay, so question so far? Do you have any question?
Sir, kanang dim, sir, man ay kuan sa gamiton sa variable sa kuan, sir, magkuan ng mga integer.
Dim stands
What
for
if kanang
dimension.
sa text, sir? Kanang mo
What do you
output
mean?
og text, sir.
Ang sa mga output of text.
Mo output og text, sir, ba sa imong i-type. Kasi
Katulad
gamiton ng variable.
kanidi ay the result. Pwede rin siya. Pwede rin like dim hold equals. So kana. Pwede rin na siya.
So magamit mig hold nga kuan, sir, kanang reserve kaya na.
Dili, no need. Pwede rin siya anything. str.
Sige, sir.
Pwede rin siya. Pwede ka naman na siya i-declare as like. Basta pag dim lang ka, meaning pwede naman na siya i-assign to any value. Okay? So pwede naman na siya i-assign to like string. Okay? Pero kung mag-focus ka or specific ka like dim as string equals, dapat dili ka pwede maka-declare og 19 kay kani siya dili siya mag-error pero it's not allowed kasi it's a in fact it's a warning. Okay? So kasi it's a warning that though 19 is considered as an object, but it's a warning that it might affect, probably it might not, your program might not work properly. So because you declared str as string, so therefore ang imong initial value na should be something like that. So as you can see, wala na yung warning nakita nato ganina, di ba? Okay, di ba kanina na yung warning, karon wala na. Because tama or appropriate na imong gi-assign na value. So the same with the same with all others. So team, let's say mag-ano kag integer sa baba num or CTR as integer, so pwede nimo siya i-focus. By the way, instead of integer, naadayin tayo mga int 16, int 32, and int 64. These are 16 bits. So 32 bits, 64 bits, kani sila mga higher numbers na ni siya, higher values. So pila man ang 16 bits? Ang 4 bytes is 2 billion. So if 2 billion siya, ang 8 bytes is times 2. So pila man ang 8? Octillion, no? So 16 is unsa na siya? May times 2 pa jud sa octillion. So basta that's a lot of numbers. Kani sila sa int 16, int 32, int 64. So dili na ni siya kaayo gamit for mga addition lang na ginagmay lang. But if you want to use that, you can actually use that one. Okay? Okay, so you have also, okay, napay daghan ani na mga value. Let's say A, B, C as byte, short, long, and a lot more, no? Character, and we will discuss all of them. I mean, in the succeeding weeks, discuss nato sila. Kay, I believe na amoy klase by 7, tama ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, that's it. Wait for a while. I'm gonna stop the recording now, and I'm going to send this one to you, ang recording later on. So stop sa ta with that. Dili sa nato i-hiungit ta, i-ano tanan kay basin, especially ang uban wala pa ka-install. So